Most precious Heavenly Father, be with us tonight as we do business for the people and for the town of Benson. Lead us in the direction that we should go and do the things that's going to be meaningful. And we'll move the town ahead and provide the things that the people in the town are looking for and need in order for day-to-day things. Be with all of us as we travel in our daily activities, that we will get home and still not have germs in our body. And pray that we all remain healthy. And be with the Ricky Barber family as they're in a time of understanding what has happened, but not really gotten to the point that they can accept yet. So be with us, be with all the things that we do. In your precious name, amen. Let's stand and pledge allegiance to God. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. There is no consent agenda, so old business. The discussion of the 2021 budget. Fred Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. What you have before you is an updated draft budget. You received a full presentation from our very capable team during our last budget meeting. And I just want to highlight some of the things that you have before you in the memo of budget notes for fiscal year 2020 through 21. In the 2019-20 budget, the town collected approximately $1,783,000 plus in property tax. The town of Benson will collect an estimated $1,799,000 plus in the coming year, a bit more than $15,000 difference. Our administration and staff are recommending a stay of the tax rate at 53 cents per hundred for the upcoming year, as you see in our memo there. I want to, for the record, read out the next paragraph. The final budget reflects a municipal rate totaling 53 cents, which 43 cents is for the general fund and 10 cents fire tax. A base water and sewer rate increase of $1.50 per month. The volumetric rate.
That's a typo. Before you say it, volumetric is.
Thank you.
Sorry, that's a typo.
Thank you very much. The volumetric being one increase of 1.5% for both water and sewer. The creation of a stormwater fee in the amount of $2.50 that is, and a 7% increase in refuse collection. As you review the budget book that you have in front of you during the next few days, you'll see that the budget reflects no new positions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. As we noted during the last meeting that we had, that you didn't want to see any increases there. But hopefully we can come back for the approval of new positions as things pan out a little bit better financially. The budget includes a 3% COLA increase across all departments. And a highlight from our benefits section here, the total average cost for medical, dental, vision, long-term disability, and wellness incentive is calculated at $7,500 per employee. Want to say that our fund balance comes in at about 25.9% during the course of this particular budget that we're presenting before you. And I think you'll note that that's a good place to be at. We have our fee schedule, which Ken will discuss with you a bit, and certainly we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have at this point. But all along the way, as you read this during the next few days and a couple of weeks at least, feel free to give us a call and we can talk about any questions you might have.
Anybody have questions for Fred?
So there's no added position, full-time or part-time townwide in this?
No, that's not.
Just for general information. What would, if a person says to me, okay, you got a new stormwater fee in the amount of $250 a month, what would that be for?
That is gonna be used, and maybe Tim will speak better to that, but it is gonna be used for drainage issues within the town. And if you notice, it is a revenue line item. We find the direct offset of the expense on page 10, where it says drainage. That is the direct offset. So it's going straight to repairing drainage issues in the town and to work on the stormwater plan.
Well, we've got hydraulics. To work forward identifying new projects in regards to the stormwater drainage and funding those projects. As well as we call it, I guess agreed with NCDOT to move forward with one better than the I-95 project. At some point, whenever they decide to move forward with that project, then there's a pretty large expense there for that drainage improvement. It's captured some funds to earmark directly towards correcting some major drainage issues.
I would also like to note that two of the major expenses that we were going to see in the general fund was a leaf bat for $65,000. We were able to talk with the manufacturer of the leaf bat that Tim was looking at, and we are able to get that on a 5-year lease. So the budget does reflect a 5-year lease. The 65 was actually a used model. So we did go for the new model that had a warranty with it. And so that would be $18,000 a year. And you'll see that number reflected as opposed to the 65. So you'll see the change. Of course, if approved, then we'll bring the lease agreement to y'all so y'all can look at that. The other big line item was the land use plan. I did put that for it to come out of fund balance in the event that if we wanted to move forward with the land use plan and we could decide to do that later in the year, we don't have to do it now. We don't have to start it in July, but we can start it maybe Q3 where we know where revenues are going to be come January, and we can decide then if we want to go forward with it or not. If not, it doesn't come out of fund balance and it does, just doesn't expend. The other thing was street resurfacing. We did say $150,000 to put into a project to add to Powell bill money. That is also coming out of fund balance. Again, we can decide not to do that later in the year. The project's not being created yet, so, but it is sitting in fund balance earmarked for those two things.
Any other questions? I reckon, in looking at the numbers that's changed since last time, the show today, and I say it was a show for 2 hours, They went through what they think the numbers are gonna be and reduction in revenue. And we basically have kept our revenue about the same numbers as they were. And, they were talking about the revenue, for the next 6 months could be down up to 18%. And so, you know, these are guesses because we don't know when it's gonna get cleaned up and be able to go back to everybody working. But, to use up all the fund balance, to get to a budget we're not sure of, it scares me to death. That, we are not trying to reduce the budget we had for last year. It's actually more than it was last year. For this year we're in now. So I haven't looked at these figures much. We just got this, but it's scary. Any other comments? The fee schedule. Or fee schedule.
I would like to note before we move on to the fee schedule, directly behind the budget after page 28 is our Town of Benson organizational chart that would need to be updated this year. We've had a lot of changes, and I don't know that I could tell you when the last time it's been updated, as well as our salary grades. Now, just one note, just because you see the position in here does not mean it's funded.
Where are you now?
This is after page 28 of the budget, so right before the orange tab. We asked department heads to tell us where you're going to be in the next couple years. Where do you think your department's going to go? So just because the position's here doesn't mean it's a funded position. Just note that. And it is small. If you need, you have it in board book. We sent it. It is attached in board, but it should be, I believe. If it's not, we'll attach it. It's not in there. Oh, I just updated everything. I'm sorry. Okay. So the next thing, fee schedule. Okay, so that's the third section in your book. And just note that the fee schedule, any changes that we made are highlighted. So for page 8 of that section of the book, we changed the refuse, the garbage collection fee. We went up 7%. That we felt doing it in July would give us a little bit of cushion to help us with the Porter Street facility. And then when we got the 3% CPI in January with Waste Industries, we wouldn't make any changes. It would stay at that point. Because now we have 2 downtown commercial sites that have the shared garbage containers. That was never added into the budget, so that is now added into the fee schedule. And then we did a bulk yard waste fee. We had a bulk waste, but we didn't have a bulk yard waste, and so it basically is the same as the bulk waste fee, but Tim wanted that added as well. If you look at page 9, you see the sewer change, the $1.50 base charge and the 1.5% volumetric fee changed. I will note that in sewer and water, we are researching a system development fee. There's a lot of jurisdiction around that. So Tim and I are doing research on it. We will bring that back to y'all at some point throughout the year. But just note that that is something that is going to come. For the water department on the next page, it's the same $1.50 base fee and a 1.5% volumetric fee. And then we did a tap upgrade service. I think recently we've had a lot of upgrades, with tap services.
We have several years.
Yeah. And we make people pay for a new tap, but we've never made people pay for an upgrade. So we're just trying to recoup some of that cost back. Same for the system, the same system development fee is to be determined in here. And then there's a fire connection fee or fire service connection fee for the water department. The next page is the stormwater fee. We talked about that. Nothing is changing. Past that, we kept although we're not going to be doing rentals right now, we're not doing new rentals. We cut that out of the budget. We still have some that are on the books. And so I hated to completely pull it out of the fee schedule knowing that we still have some that are scheduled out in advance. And so we kept that in there for now. And I believe that is it for the fee schedule. If you have any questions, let me know. This, of course, will get placed in with the public hearing that we have scheduled for June 9th, and then it'll all get approved at one time with the board, with the budget packet.
Anybody have any questions, Kim?
This is sort of related. I'm not sure if this is the right time to ask this question, but we had talked about one time. Somebody told me that the city of Clayton had a thing with builders, and we might be able to answer this a lot better than me, where if a developer comes and says, I want to put 40 houses here and I don't want to put sidewalks in, they could buy themselves out of it. Is that
Fee
something?
in lieu.
Yeah,
It's a
is that-
fee in lieu. I know the
As a
county does
pilot,
it.
we have fee in lieu for Benson Housing Authority. And then, of course, we have fee in lieu for electric and water, which I tried really hard not to do that this year, but I had to. But those are the only ones that we currently have in place.
We don't have a fee in lieu of open space.
Let me look at the plan. I think the planning department has, I'm in the wrong section. Hold on one second. I'm gonna say we do have an open space.
Yes, it's on page 4. About a third of the
Yeah.
way down.
$500. Recreation open space fee in lieu, $500. And Aaron is on Zoom, so Aaron, if you have any insight to your fee schedule and want to speak up, you can.
Okay, we didn't propose any increases in planning, for building permits or for, open space. The $500 open space fee in lieu was approved in last year's budget. We are pretty comparable. I've looked at other jurisdictions as far as where they are and their fees for building permits and for fee in lieu. Right now, I don't know what they will be proposing in their new budget schedules, but we are pretty comfortable in our fees on that. We do have a fee in lieu that it's in our ordinance that the town may require a fee in lieu of installation for residential collector or commercial streets that do not have access to a thoroughfare. And so there are some fee in lieus in our subdivision ordinance that is noted. I don't believe we've ever set that in the fee schedule. I don't think that we have anything for those requirements listed in the fee schedule, but that's something that I can look into if you all would like me to research that specific portion of the ordinance.
I think I think that'd be great. I mean, to explore it. I have a lot of questions and not many answers, so getting some answers might be a great thing.
Make a note of that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
What would it, the budget, and I'm just asking because I recently ran into this with a commercial business moving to town. We have a downtown development incentive toolbox that gives downtown incentives to businesses that come and move on to Main Street, basically, anywhere in the Main Street corridor. How much of that budget are we using every year, and if any of it is left, or why could we not expand that to other corridors within the town? Is that funded by Main Street America? Is that why it's because downtown's full, but we've got a lot of other businesses moving in off of 301 and other things, and you'd almost say it's almost discrimination if you say you can use it on this street, but you can't use it on that street.
Right.
So have we ever thought of exploring any ways to expand that program?
I don't think we've ever specifically made it just for Main Street. I think we probably could expand it, saying, hey, you know, just downtown in general. And I am not entirely sure. I actually don't think it's on Main Street.
It's coming out of your economic development line item in Fund 10, and the 25% that we've discussed in the past actually comes out of electric. And we've only had, since I've been here, 2 people utilize the 25%. We've got one that's doing it right currently, and I think she's only got 1 month left. And that comes out of electric, but everything else comes out of the economic development. So the facade grants and stuff comes out of that economic development line item.
I just know there's been a couple of businesses that's opened up in town the past month to try to take advantage, and were unable to because they were not on that Main Street corridor. And so I would like to consider Main Street corridors pretty much full of businesses, but we have plenty of other vacant structures that could benefit from businesses. I'd like to see if we could expand that. So,
Well, in my opinion,
if the
and I-
budget will hold it.
yeah, and in my opinion, and Tyler, correct me, but any of those things have to come before the board anyway. So really, it's not necessarily the call of the associate of the staff member to say, no, you can't get this. I think we bring it to the board and
There's a map on the
Okay.
website in the toolbox. There's a map of
Map of where
properties,
it
and
is.
those properties are available, and the properties surrounding it are not. And so if somebody goes on our
Bring it
website and
to
looks
us.
at it, and they're looking at that property that's a block over, they wouldn't qualify, so they probably wouldn't ask to come before the board. They would think it would be a waste of time.
we'll make a note of that too. All it is, and change the map, we can.
It's called small business.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Any other questions on the fee schedule? Capital improvement plan.
And the capital improvement plan is section 2, so you have to go up a section in your budget. And basically, this is kind of a capital list of what each department foresees them needing in the future. And this goes all the way to 2040. So there's some stuff in here that we've had to push back. I know, like for this year, looking through it, I don't think anybody really just needed any capital improvement work done for 2021, because we all knew we needed to kind of come back on spending for this upcoming year. But for instance, the general fund for administration, zoning, and building, I know that we've done a study on the windows at Town Hall, and we've got to replace these windows because they're just kind of falling out and landing on the ground, and they're going to hit somebody at one point. But that's in there right now. The Public Works Department is putting plexiglass up, and we're fixing the issues with the building. But at some point, we're going to have to address that. So that is in this capital improvement plan. Another one is for like the finance department. I know that I'm in need of updated financial software. That's in here. I was gonna try to get it this year, but I held off another year. What I have is not necessarily broken, it's just outdated, but it still works. So that's what this capital improvement plan is. You can look through and find notes, and some of the department heads put notes in the section, kind of explain what you needed, what they needed, and just gave you a brief overview. A lot of it's labeled as to what they need. So anything like that's what you'll see in this capital improvement plan. We typically try to get it approved every year. We have not had it approved in the last 2 years. So I would like to at least bring this to the board this year and get it approved as an update. And then one of our tasks for the upcoming year, mine and Angie, we really want to streamline this and make it more what a capital improvement plan probably should be. What other towns are doing with capital improvement plans. So you will see this change next year with any luck, because that's one thing that we've started researching and working on. So, but that is the capital improvement plan for this year. Any questions?
Any questions about that?
Not yet.
Not yet. You guys still, this is a lot of information, and I if you are looking through it and you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to pick up the phone and call me. Send me an email. You can ask Fred. I pretty much respond to anybody up until about midnight every night. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. It is a lot of information to take in at one time.
Okay,
All right. That's all I have for right now.
consider approval of certification of municipal declaration. Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This came to Angie from DOT, the rep's name, Mr. Mark Manriquez, and she sent it to me, kind of, what is this? And I said, I have no idea. I've been doing this 10 years and I've never seen anything like this. Essentially, that went back to DOT and said, what are y'all really looking for here? Because if you can see this document in your packet that just says the certification, which looks almost in the form of a resolution. That's really all they sent with a cover letter, which is even briefer or shorter. And what they're looking, we're under the statute, we have to concur with their assessment of what the speed limit is on their road in the town's municipal limits. So that's the nature of the request. DOT is saying, we think the speed limit should be this on this road. Since it's in your town limits, the statute requires your concurrence with us and us with you. And then we got a valid legal speed limit. The thing that didn't really give me trouble, I just questioned the DOT reps, was the language that the municipal body pursuant to this authority in the statute and determined upon the basis of an engineering and traffic investigation. Of course, I said, well, we haven't done one of those, so hopefully y'all did, because we don't want to pass a resolution that we don't have, the proper legally required foundation for.
Let me make it easy for you. The reason we got this is because they went in and looked to see what the speed limit was they go by mile post. And when they got to the mile post in Benson, the sign was not at where they had it on their report. So they found out that when Dog Eye Road was taken into the town, the speed limit sign was moved, but the state didn't upgrade their records. So this is only saying that the board agrees with what's on the ground today. They're not going to change anything. They're going to get their records of what the ground says.
It's more or less what they told me. If you look at the mileage on the form, I didn't make a bunch of copies, but it's essentially Church Street to, south of Banner Elk, it's about 850 feet.
That's mile posts.
And the speed limit there will be 55, which according to one of the reps, it already is. But I do know at the school there, I think it goes down, or at least here in certain parts of the day, it certainly does. So,
Anyone have any questions about that? Somebody make a motion to approve it.
Make a motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. No.
Uh,
Why?
Well, I had this discussion a little bit with, Ike before we came over here. If I remember, and I know where they're talking about, you've got the school area over there, you've also got, those speed bumps that start about where Church Street tees into 50. And if you're saying 55 miles per hour through here, I just think that's excessive. You already had one car that went straight into Vic Abdallah's house. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
No, but that's not where they're talking about.
Where they are too, it's where Church Street tees in, isn't it?
You know, it's out where
This ADP Properties, that's
the road that goes to,
Banner
Whittington's house.
Yeah.
It's on 50 highway where the speed limit at 55.
All the way to where though?
Huh?
All the way to where though? Where is it in?
It's 0.103 miles north of NC 27, it's about 550 feet north of, the intersection of 50 where 50 comes in and 27 and they meet.
So that would be about where Church Street tees into,
About
where those new houses are.
It's about where church, a little north of that.
I just don't think it needs to be 55 through there. I just do not.
No, that's not what they're talking about. I guarantee you. Because the road that goes around Dog Eye is out at the school. And they're talking about the sign that's 55 miles an hour that's sitting up and you're going north.
Well, if you look at the coordinates that they gave us, that's where Church Street tees into 50 highway, which is in front of those new houses that Tracy Denning or whoever
Is
built.
it currently 55 there? Is it 40?
Well, you just about tear up your car if you go through there too fast because them speed bumps are there.
Not much so.
So I don't know how you gonna do 55 through there. Yeah.
If that's what they're talking about, and I don't, but that's the way, that was my understanding.
I talked to the engineer on the phone because you couldn't look at what they sent and tell what they were looking for. And he happened to be at the beach and he called his assistant and they pulled it out and realized that what's on the ground is what is right. And all we gotta do is get our records with what's on the ground. But we have to have, because this is part of highway safety program, then they've gotta have a record that we approve for them to change their records to match up what was put there when Dog Eye Road was taken into city.
One of the fellows I spoke with did say that it was cheaper than what was already there, so we've already voted on it.
He called me back and said nothing will change. It'll be just like it's sitting now and has been for 5 years or whatever it was.
It's 55 through there, it's too fast.
All in favor, or we already voted?
Yeah, you have motion on the floor. And I think we.
No, he voted. Everybody said yeah, but he voted no. Utility payment plan under Executive Order 124.
Okay, on your tables, you'll find this PowerPoint presentation. I'm definitely not gonna go through all of it with y'all, but I wanna hit the highlights. This was something that this is a presentation I was with the School of Government. Kara Malanzi is one of the attorneys there, and she had done some extensive research on Executive Order 124 and talked with some of the finance folks about it. So first of all, with any foreseeable future, we're supposed to be able to start disconnecting on Monday. Now, I got an email today at 3 o'clock from Drew Elliott, who is a senior government affairs liaison for Electricities, who said that today Governor Cooper did say that he is still reviewing the options of extending the order. He says, and I quote, "We got to put the consumer first. So we're going to take steps in the next few days to make sure that the consumers are protected, and we're working on exactly how we're going to do that. We're well aware that this order is running out soon, and we've been talking to all the interested parties. We want to make sure that people are protected. He did also say that's not quoted in there, but that he knew this was the municipalities were taking a hit. My guess is he'll probably make an announcement tomorrow, but I don't know for sure. But in the event that he does not extend it, I wanted to give you guys the options that we have upon us. So, first of all, the executive order does not include any non-payment prior to March 31st. Now, we did not disconnect people in March because the executive order was technically already in place. We'd already been asked not to. And then we, as a board and a staff, decided we're going to not disconnect right now. But on Monday, anybody who has a bill owed to the town prior to March 31st, we can disconnect if we do not receive payment. Currently, as it stands, that's 22 people, which is not bad. If I think we've worked really hard. We've made a lot of contact in the last couple of weeks. We have informed people that these bills will not be forgiven. You still are going to have to pay them. Don't get yourself too far behind. We have received a lot of payments, which is good. Anything after June 1st, so when we send our bills out on June the 5th, are eligible for disconnect. So if the order is lifted, when we send our bills out on the 5th, it is business as usual. They have to pay it by the 22nd. They'll get a late fee, disconnect for the 30th. That's not going to change. What we have to focus on is anytime after March 31st to June 1st. So essentially April 1st to May 31st. And we have been told that we have to give a 6-month extension on these bills. If you look, and that's basically like the first few slides. If you look about 4 or 5 slides in, there's a blue slide. It's got like a drop down. We have to develop a plan, which we, as a historically, we have not done payment arrangements. When I came in 2014, I was told that it just wasn't something that we condoned. It was a case by case. So we have had to do some payment arrangements, but it's not something that we typically do a whole bunch every single month. It's literally a case by case hardship situation. But we do have a payment plan form already available. The second step is we have to inform the customers. And so basically what I took from that was we are having to take the step to get the customer to know that they are on a payment plan. They do not have to ask us to be on the payment plan. So if they owed money between April and May, we've got to do the legwork and send them a letter that says you are now on a payment plan. And we have to give them the specifics of the payment plan. We can request signature, but if they don't want to sign it, we've still informed them they're under the payment plan. And that's kind of the take I got. I stopped me at any point because you've been doing research on this too. So
You give your.
okay, all right. Okay, so then once the payment plan is in place, and my suggestion would be you take what they owe, you divide it by 6. They have to pay a 1/6 of what they owe plus their current bills. So like June 22nd, they have to pay a 1/6 of what they owe from April and May, and they have to pay their June bill. And in my opinion, they need to pay it all by the 22nd because you don't want to add late fees on. Our system won't compound the late fees, but why are we just going to add more to them? I think it probably needs to be paid prior to the late fee. So the actual due date, not the second due date. If they fail to pay the payment plan, then we can disconnect at that point. The question I have is, are we going to make them pay the 1/6 of the payment arrangement and their current bill? Or are we going to make them pay the entire amount that they owe for April and May and the current bill? Now, if you look at the very last page of the payment agreement, the actual payment agreement that we have, the third paragraph down, it says, any failure to pay promptly when due gives the town of Benson the right to immediately and without further notice terminate this agreement and demand immediate payment in full, terminate service and/or take legal action. We haven't done very many of these, so I've never actually had to do this. Now, in my prior municipality, I did, because we did a lot more payment arrangements, but that's kind of where I'm at today. Now I'm going to let y'all sit on that for just a second, and I want to give y'all some numbers. As of today, now this is traditional customers that this would, we got to work through how we're going to do prepaid. But as of today, or as of the 22nd, when we would have applied late fees, 410 people had not paid. Accumulated over since March, because we didn't do late fees in March, so this includes your March numbers too. We have missed, which you never want to budget really for late fees and disconnects. You don't want to depend on that money, but I'm still keeping up with it. We've missed $12,150 worth of late fees and disconnect fees from people not paying. Total, we are currently $108,603 short of utility revenue. Now that is across the board, garbage, water, sewer, and electric. That's all 4 services. It's not broken down, that's total. And that's just traditional customers. For prepaid customers, 31 customers have not paid their bill, and they owe a total of $5,889.57. So the way that system works is we can go in, because we reconcile their bills every month. We can go in and look at these 31 customers, and we can say, okay, you need to pay at least March, and we can put them on a payment arrangement within the system for their April and May bills. And basically what it does is it takes that amount and it puts it in a debt status, a debt owed status, and we can say 25% of every payment you make goes toward this debt, or 50% of every payment you make goes toward this debt. So if we said 50% and they make a $100 payment, $50 will go towards their debt that they owe, and $50 goes towards their actual working prepaid monies. Does that make sense to everybody? Am I explaining that good? We need to figure out what that threshold is going to be. Do we want it to be 25%? Now, some people make $10 payments, so that's not going to be a lot of money. But do we want to say it's 25%? Do we want to hold hard to 50%? Do we want it to be? I just need to know a number for prepay of what the board is comfortable with and what y'all are going to support me and my staff on when it comes to setting up arrangements for prepay.
What is the legal ramification versus what can we do legally on a regular customer versus a prepaid customer if they vote and they just don't pay and they leave a balance? Can we go after the prepaid customer?
Yes.
We can't.
So the difference between a prepay and a traditional that rents, rather, a prepaid customer doesn't pay a deposit at all. They have to start their account, they have to put $25 on the account, and then they have an app on their phone. There's a phone number they can call us. We can tell them what their balance is. So as they use water, sewer, electric, and there's a like a daily fee for garbage for your base fees, your fixed cost, it ticks off the amount. So say they put $50 on every single day, you'll see it drop until it gets to zero. When it gets to zero, they get a 24-hour notification. You need to come and make a payment or you will be shut off. And then it automatically shuts them off after 24 hours if they haven't paid it. And we don't have to do anything. We set them up at the beginning when they start the account, and then they do it on their own. It's literally pay as you go. It's your responsibility. If you want to have lights and water, it's up to you to come and pay the bill, because we don't have much jurisdiction on when it cuts off and when it doesn't. Now, obviously, we have it in the stay right now. It's not cutting off. But when they
can put on it.
25 to start. Mm-hmm. And then if they go into the negative, they have to pay what their negative is and then 20 on top of that.
But normal payments, they can pay however much they want to, as long as they're not in the negative. If now a traditional customer pays a deposit based on credit, it can be anywhere from $330 to $610. There's 3 settings: low, medium, and high. And when they leave, the deposit applies, and any balance left over, prepaid or traditional, gets put into debt set off.
Let me rephrase my question, because you said we could shut them off. If a prepaid customer stops paying and owes a balance, and you shut them off, and they still owe a balance, do we have any legal right to go after them for a judgment or anything of that sort? Have they signed any type of agreement? Or is it just pay for service, give a service, pay for service, give a service, shut the service off?
They sign the same work order, the same startup paperwork as everybody else. So we still can put them in debt set off. We still can collect on them after the fact.
I think it's an interesting question, because you never get into this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never get, with the prepaid guy would never get in arrears. But-
Typically.
But now you've got the asset, but they're no different. It's a debt, unpaid, they sign an agreement to pay it. That's the same legal avenues to pursue and collect that as you would if they had just a traditional customer.
So, and as of right now, the traditional customers, there's 410 that are not paid, that we are currently holding a deposit on. If we were to release that deposit and turn them into prepaid, how small would that number get?
That is not all rentals. Some of those are homeowners as well.
Would
So
they
there's
be
not a deposit for homeowners.
I mean, almost commercial.
I'd have to go back and look at the list. I can tell you for the March, there's 3 commercials that I haven't paid out of the 22 total.
So the key right now is, as far as prepaid goes, so is we need to give you some guidance as to how much will be applied to the back amount. If they pay $50, are we taking 50% of that and applying that to the back amount?
25 or 33, and then we can put whatever percentage in there. We need some guidance as to because
What's the average balance owed on a prepaid? If I take that number and divide it by 31, then I come up with $189. Is that about the average y'all are seeing on what is owed on prepaid? About $200?
Well, the traditional ones, you're gonna give 6 months, right?
yeah, we have to. And let me make this one note as well while I'm pulling this up. If they leave, so typically if a customer leaves and their account closes and they owe us money, we give them about 30 days and then we start working on putting them in debt set off. My understanding according to this is if they leave, we still have to give them 6 months to pay the April and May. So I can't even put them in debt set off until January.
I would just assume that if they're not paying their utilities, they're not paying their rent either. At some point in time, it's going to be cheaper for somebody to come up with a deposit in cash and go somewhere else and leave us holding a debt.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, this is subject to change.
It is.
If Cooper comes in tomorrow and says further extension.
Exactly. But at the very least, I'll have some guidance for whenever it is lifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of the 410 rental customers, do we know how many are owner accounts and how many are rental accounts?
I have a report. I mean, I can't spit it out right now and tell you, but I do have a report. It's about 20 pages long, and we can go in there and figure it out. That's easy to do.
But I know that it's still a little bit moot until we find out that you still want some guidance, but if he were to extend it though, and the average is $189 now, and he extends it another month or 2, then we're gonna be talking about trying to, collect back on 300 or more.
Mhm. It's
So,
not
I
the
mean, that's
best.
why I would say, a quarter would be an awfully little amount to try to place back especially if, Dean's getting 6 months to pay his back if he's behind or whatever. If you set such a minuscule amount, it would be well in advance of 6 months.
Yeah. To answer your question, some of them are very minimal. Some of them are, currently sitting at $1, $5. Those I'm not worried about. The ones I'm worried about We have one that's sitting at 700 in the negative, 300 in the negative, 400 and 500 in the negative. So we have some that are really high, and I don't know what in the world is happening, but some of them are higher. So we could say,
500 or 400 or more, you have to pay 50%.
That prepaid?
yes. Oh, you have it printed out? So we could somehow take what they owe for April and May and add it up and figure out some sort of formula that way. And then the formula is the same for everybody, but the percentage might be different for everybody. And I'll tell you those ones that are the really high end that I just kind of spitballed out. We have contacted them numerous times. We have sent paint cards. We have done everything we could. We even had paint cards delivered and had Public Works like sit in their truck to make sure they got it, to make sure they were home. So we have done what we can to get these balances down. And then I fall into the next part that Ike doesn't like to hear me say, but there's still no, like, once this order's over, the order's over. Is it legal for him to make us give these people 6 months to pay?
I'm not I'm not against it, but I would completely agree with the kind of general forward, Kim headed to that. It's a legal position to take, it's a legal consideration to make, but it's not a complex one. The governor has the authority to enter an order during the pendency of this state of emergency, which he has done effective 31st of March, which expires at the end of this month. And during the term of that order, he's made restrictions and requirements and included utilities from turning off and all of that. Once that's over with, for him to require further, behavioral restriction or compliance from municipal or any utility provider, the authority has also been rescinded. So it's kind of like a statute that, sunsets on December 31st, and someone makes a rule giving authority under that statute prior to it that for the next 2 years you have to do something. Well, their authority ends on that date, which is the end of this month. So this 6 month repayment requirement, I don't think I'm going out too far on a limb. And for one, the lady you mentioned at the beginning, Ms. Malonzi at School of Government, I think I'll speak for it. I'll talk to her about it. The legality of that 6 month prospective repayment plan requirement is very suspect.
Yeah.
If he re-ups it and extends it, that's just a good point, like I said. But not taking that as a position of advocating to not consider repayment plans of some degree. In some way, it's a tough thing to slice up and figure out what to do is best. But because I think if you just said, well, we're not going to abide by that, we don't think it's legal, everybody's got to pay their bills on June 1st. As far as the delinquent part, I think you probably wouldn't see as much of a collection than if you did enter into some kind of repayment plan. That's my personal opinion, but I think that's right. But the legality of this going into the future after the order has expired is very questionable.
Well, if we follow the government orders and give the ones that are not prepaid the 6 months, they're going to be paying about 16% toward that 100% of over 6 months. So I would say the prepaid should pay at least double that. And that would be about 35% of their monthly payment, or their prepayment should probably go that back at least.
I believe we're gonna take some on the chin anyway. Eventually, we know that that's gonna happen, but trying to collect as much as you can.
I agree. And I think eventually we'll get it back through debt set off and efforts in that aspect, but it's going to be years down the road, if they were to leave us. And keep in mind too, if they were to leave us this year and then they come back 6 months from now, they got to pay that balance to move back in. So we do have that as well. It's just.
What would you like to do? I mean, from your department standpoint, what's the best kind of plan to do?
Probably not the best person to ask. When we originally started this, my thought process was, before the governor even asked, was yes, we need to give these people a break. But when it was over, they would have 30 days and then we would commence as normal. I still kind of am on that side of the fence. I get there are some people that are going to need payment arrangements, and I think there are hardships. I know people that are furloughed right now. I know there are hardships out there, and those people, I'm absolutely 6-month payment plan. Let me do what I can do to help. But then I know there's some people taking advantage of the fact that they don't have to pay their bill right now, and that's the ones that I really want to hold the hard line on. But one thing I've learned in my 10 years of being in local government is you got to treat everybody the same. So whatever we decide will be what we do, and my staff will follow that rule, and we will not play favorites, and we need to do what's best for the Benson citizens. So
What does the board think? Give us some guidelines or some ideas or suggestions.
I'll see y'all just wrapped up 90 days, but I don't think our governor's going to concur with that.
I would agree. And my 30-day thought process was, at the very least, we'd get the revenues back before we close the fiscal year. But that's definitely not going to happen.
Well, this is my thinking. What sounds like $200 to you might be $5,000 to me.
Exactly.
So we got them, in a sense, in this situation because we did, but the governor did. In a sense, he got them where they are now. So, and you're going to always have somebody that's going to take advantage, and you're going to have some people that really need some extra time. Because I went through this change one time now I was not on this board, but I was having like a $600 light bill a month.
Mm-hmm.
That was more than people were paying for mortgage. And to top that, a late fee on top of it. So it was a hardship, a really hardship on them. Mm-hmm. And to the day, my light bill still it's extremely high for where I am. Mm-hmm. But I am on the prepaid thing. Not prepaid, but the payment plan.
You're on equal payment.
Equal payment. I have to be because I couldn't pay $600 a month if I weren't. So I can sympathize with those people because when you got a bill to pay and plus you got a late fee to pay, you just, either way you go, you damn.
Yeah. So, sorry, that brings up another question. Are we going to continue to do late fees after June? Or are we going to, late fees now are not what they used to be. They're about 1.5%. But that's, our system is set up to not charge a late fee for this payment plan, but charge a late fee for the current bill. But we need to decide if that's how we want to do it too. Do we want to continue to get late fees on the current bills, but not the old bill? Or do we just want to cease late fees right now and only do disconnect fees if they don't pay? What was your question?
I want to jump ahead one sentence on this agenda and go over line item E, because we're talking about removing load management next. How many people are getting credit for load management on their house right now? And if we're fixing to remove it, are they going to lose that credit? And that's going to increase their utility bill as well.
And I'm one of those.
So, and I don't know what's the credit. I don't know what the credit is.
$15.
$15. So now you're going to add another $15 on top of what they already owed, and what they're probably going to continue to owe if we decide to do that. So I think we should take that in consideration.
Should we send it this 3 years ago?
So,
When I made that motion?
yeah.
We're gonna move all load management switches.
I'm going to let Fred and Jerry
Okay.
talk to you about that.
I'm just saying, potentially, I see that coming next. So if we're fixing to make a motion to give her advice on what we do, I just say we might need to take into consideration that depending on what happens next, we might be throwing another $15 a month on everybody. And I'm assuming it's prepaid have load management as well.
Some probably do. I'd have to look at where they are. We haven't put any load management switches in new properties, so like Legacy Trace doesn't have them. any new dwellings don't have load management switches, but I'd have to go back and look at the list and see how many actually do have it now. But that is also something to consider. Now, the credit would not fall off until the load management switch was taken out. I don't know what that time frame is going to look like. Again, I'm going to let Fred and Jerry talk to you about that, but
Who covered that credit? Was that a credit from the town, or was that a credit that was paid for by the load management?
it came out of the electric fund. It comes out of the electric fund. It's
So if
part
we
of the
were to
fee
eat that,
schedule.
Then we're already paying that, so.
Yeah, the concept behind load management is when we're at peak, those boxes will reduce the voltage that's happening, and so it reduces our wholesale bill. I'd argue that we have quite a few that aren't working properly, so we're probably eating that credit anyway. But then you also have a substation that does its own load management, so we're already reducing the voltage during peak time. So, but yeah, that would hit the electric fund.
So,
So
I agree with Jim, 25% doesn't sound bad. That's a 4-month give me for them to work out a payment plan. But I also understand where Miss Holly's coming from. If we're gonna give 6 months to one side, what is the negative of giving 6 months to the other side? That would be treating everybody equally in the town.
That's what I was.
I mean, if you're gonna give 6 months to the ones that are on this program, you shouldn't penalize the ones that are on this program because they didn't have an extra $600 to put down a deposit to move into a rental house.
so figure out the formula that's going to give them 6 months to pay it down.
That'd be 16.67%.
Yeah.
I think you need to be fair across the board, and that way we can say we
And
treat everybody equal.
keep in mind that that's every time they make a payment.
That's correct.
So if they make 5 payments in a month, it's going to come out of every single 5 payment. That 16% is going to come out of every payment, which probably will equal out in the long run. But just I want everybody to know that up front. It's not one payment a month. Is if you come in and make a payment every other day, that percentage is going to come off the top every other day.
There's not a way to put a flat fee on our prepaid system. It has to be a percentage.
I believe it has to be a percentage. I can look at it, but I'm pretty sure it's a percentage. But then if you do a flat fee, it comes off every time. So then it's like, how many payments are you going to make in a month? And then you got to figure out where that's going to balance into. So I think percentage is the better way to go in that aspect.
So if it's a percentage, and I owe $500, and I pay 70% of $500 this month, am I gonna pay 70% of $500 next month, or is 70% of the new balance? And 70% of the new balance?
You pay 17% of whatever your payment is.
Whatever you're paying. So yeah, so it puts it in a
So
So
for
you-
every $100, you're gonna pay
$17.
17%.
Yeah.
$17.
Mm-hmm.
How many payments do these people normally make? Do they make one payment a month? Do they make one payment?
No, they
every
make
2 weeks?
more. Yeah, I can definitely say, which I knew this was going to happen when we started prepay. They either come in more often or they pay more online. It is more.
Processing fee on top of these
No,
payments?
well, there's not a processing fee to them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Would it happen-
we eat the cost of it because it all runs through Pay Menace.
Would it happen that, what would happen if, let's say I owe $400 and I use not so much utilities in the next 6 months, and so I don't use as much utilities, so my 17% adds up to $300. And so at the end of 6 months, I owe $100. What happens?
So if you paid
You keep doing 17% till I
it, but it only takes it off the payment. So if you have somebody, I had a lady in Selma that had prepaid, and she paid $100 a month, and that kept her in the green the entire month. So she would make that $100 payment, $17 would come off of the balance due every single month. That one time she made it. So- if you made say you made a 300, say DSS gets money and they pay the most that they'll pay on anybody's account, which is $600, and they make a $600 payment. Then 17% will come out of that and go towards debt, and then they'll have that credit for as long as that remaining balance will give them. So you probably won't see another payment for a couple months from them. Does that make sense?
Then they drag it on fast.
So then they're not paying their debt, but they also have, they have no reason to come in and make a payment.
You can say after the 6 month period,
For an individual.
and not have anything past due.
It's a dollar amount, so they'll give up to $600
A year.
a year. And then there's LEAP on top of that. And LEAP, so they essentially could get 2 payments from DSS, but it's coming out of 2 different programs. So you have the LEAP program, and that's based on income, so that's different for everybody. And then the hardship is usually $600 until funds run out.
That's, I would say that's subject to change too, because it depends on what the Department of Social Services is gonna get.
Correct. And usually they get it in January, and it's usually pretty much out by June. And then you have community action too that helps as well.
There's no way to take that balance and divide it by 6 and make that a negative balance every month.
Can't you fill out paperwork that says this prepay, you got 6 months, you gotta pay this much percentage. And after 6 months, whatever's not paid, if the whole thing's due. Okay, no.
You can. You as a board, I think, can make that call.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You can
You've
make
got
it a
a lot of
rule.
flexibility within the 6 months and absolutely after it.
Yeah. That's like a problem, 6 months, the traditional ones and your prepay ones.
Do it now.
Your traditional, because we're talking about prepaid,
Right.
how that would be. But ones on prepay, as long as they know, whatever, 6 months. Because like your situation where you get that $600 credit, but after 6 months, whatever's past due is now currently due, and we will cut off.
Now, what we could do, if you look at it in that way, and it would be more work on our end. But if we say, okay, you have a $300 balance and you have 6 months to pay it, and here's what you need to pay every month. When they come in to make that payment, they would have to tell us, this is towards my debt. And then we could do 100% towards the debt. And then it would take the entire payment. And then we could drop it, once that payment's made, we could drop it down to 0 and wait until next month to do it. We have that capability as well, because we can change that percentage every time. So they could come in and say, I just want to put this towards my debt owed. And we can change the percentage on it. There's that option too. I didn't think about that.
I get that, but I'm sort of thinking, my non-thought out thinking is that if they're paying 17%, they're paying their thing, and they're doing this deal, they're doing good for 6 months,
Then you're going to give them.
why don't we just give them the 17% on and on to the finish pay? It's 8 months. That would be,
Yeah, but then you go out to do your traditional the same way.
That's so concerned how y'all bend this around. They're all good ideas. If I'm traditional, if you're making me divide my balance by 6 and pay that additionally every month, if I'm prepaid, I can either just pay the minimum and keep my power on this month and keep that, and whatever percentage will go, of course, but, and then at the end of 6 months, if the balance is still big, I can say, well, heck with that. Also, just the traditional guys say, well, now, wait a minute, all right, then I want to do prepay, and I'll do that. It's better for me, especially the bigger balance. If they're only $200 behind, it's one thing, but if you said one was 700.
Yeah.
I mean, if that guy's prepaid, then he's not gonna pay that off, depending on how much he keeps paying every month, probably gonna pay that off, and, if he was traditional, he'd have to, or his power would be good, so. Something to think about too, as far as being equitable, I still say, from a legal perspective, you've got a project wide open, I think you do, but you do well to do the same for both classifications of your company.
Yeah. That's
No, but excuse me, but can you turn the air down a little bit? It's cold in here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some French mess over there.
What if we came up with a said, okay, if you want to continue to be a prepaid customer and have power, you have to get your balance down below X. And then once you get it down to X, say it's $400, then we will divide that into 6 monthly payments, and you've got to pay that every month.
You got to do that to traditional customers too. Gotta treat everybody the same.
Traditional
the guidance
customers often
is
use their deposit to go toward their balance, to bring it down.
But you don't want to get rid of their deposit because then you lose
Then they
that on the
convert
back
to prepaid.
end. Yeah, they could convert to prepaid. See my conundrum?
The only guidance in the EO, 1.4, it just says they have to be reasonable.
Yeah.
Again, once it's expired, I don't think any of this is really coming upon it all anymore.
Well, I know some of them, some of it's gonna be dependent on what we find out tomorrow or the next.
Right.
Whatever. But what are some of the other comparable municipalities doing? I mean, I know they have to be in the same boat that we're in. Have you heard of any arrangements that they've made with their customers?
No, and there was probably about 300 people on this call. And I mean, she couldn't get a slide done with before we were blasting her with questions because none of us know what none of us have been in this boat before. You know, this is definitely uncharted territory. So I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing. I mean, sitting on the finance calls and I've sat on the HR calls and I've been on the manager calls. Nobody knows what they're doing for anything. This is just all very just
Well, let me
questions.
ask you this, and Mr. Mayor or anybody else, is there any indication in talking with, Larry Strickland or anybody from the government that that Raleigh may be sending municipalities some money to try to accommodate the losses any of that talk at all?
Well, now everybody from Washington to the state to the county is not gonna give the towns anything. But everybody is working on trying to get that done. What we're trying to do right now with this, we're trying to get the Attorney General to come up with the money to pay this thing because he was the one that put this together. And the way they did it and the way they communicated, people think they don't have to pay this back.
Yeah, that has been the number one conversation we've had with people when we call. There's this misconception that FEMA is going to come in and pay their bills.
Yeah.
And we've had
But
to.
going by what you just said, you're not treating customers the same if that happens. If that be the case, then I think Max is going to expect forgiveness on 2 or 3 months that he's tossed in.
You're right.
If facts don't, I do.
Yeah. I mean,
Exactly,
that's the
because
same-
you've
it's the same thing.
paid your bill. Yeah.
You do have to treat everyone the same way.
Maybe we should go with 25%, just tell them we're gonna take 25% of every payment until it's paid off, or until 6 months gets here, and then you want the full amount if you still have a balance. Or every $100 they spend, or every $20 they spend, $5 goes towards their debt, because they might not make 6 payments over 6 months.
Right.
And if they don't, then their balance still might be huge come December 31st.
Mm-hmm.
I like 20 or 25% more, make it a little more.
Yeah.
Take
But
care of that.
theoretically, if they pay once a month and do like that, and theoretically, they could be out dead in as quick as 4 months, and then we'll give you an extra 2 months to work it out if you can't make theoretically. And then if you're not got it paid off by December 31st, then business is on.
Yeah. Everybody in agreement with that? Is that a motion?
What? No. let me
25?
understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now what are you saying?
I'm saying, in order to try to collect the debt quickly, but because we don't know how much, I don't know what the average payment of a prepaid person is. So,
Right.
I mean,
It
could
varies,
it could be $20, it could be $50, it could be $100, but I would say, let's theoretically, if they paid one time a month and we took 25% of their one time a month payment, then in 4 months they could potentially be out of debt. But I would say let's take 25% and then give them until 6 months to get completely out of debt. Some would get out of debt early. Some with the $700 balance are probably going to take till December 31st, if not longer. But on December 31st, we would say, okay, that's enough. We give you 6 months. I mean, I don't want to call it a hardship, but I mean, I'm just.
So, but I thought before you were saying that each time you would take out a percentage on whatever they paid.
Mhm.
Would you do that still? Every time they
You'd have
pay,
to-
you would have to do 25%.
We take 25%. So if they paid $100, $25 would go toward their debt.
And
And
75
75
towards
would go toward their,
Of course, that would be gone pretty quickly if they were paying $100.
but from what I understand,
But
some
you
of them
might
pay
get
$20.
$10.
Some of them pay $10 or $20, so that means you're only getting $5 or $2.50.
The other thing too is that if it's $100 and $100 is a month, it lasts 4 weeks. If you're gonna take 25 off, that means you're getting $75 worth of energy. So it's gonna last 3 weeks. So you're gonna run out in 3 weeks. Of course, is that wrong? They're gonna have
Theoretically,
to go, they have to do it more.
They'll have
because
to
they're
make
gonna run
more
out quicker.
payments.
Because the money's not going, the 1/4, you're buying 1/4 less energy.
Mhm.
You're not coming 3 weeks.
what is y'all, I mean, and I'm gonna keep this back to you again, but
I know.
I mean, I own rental property, and I know the ones that are taking advantage and telling me that I'm not paying my rent, even though they can pay their rent. I know they can, because it's the same people a year ago that weren't paying their rent, or 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Are we I mean, what kind of electric problems are we having? Is it the same people that are now taking advantage? Or is it new people that you feel like are actually?
There are some new people.
Right.
And those are the ones that I feel like most definitely probably have a hardship. And then there's the same ones. You know, when we do late fees, we typically do have 400 people on the list. So that to me is not any different than any other month. But when we get to disconnects and go back to April 30th, 248 people didn't pay their bill in April. And that's not normal.
How many did not in there?
248 hadn't paid when we would have theoretically done a cutoff. We have worked so hard in getting people on a schedule to pay their bills on time. I mean, our disconnect list had gotten down to like 20, you know, and so to see 248 hadn't paid, to me, that's what's scary to see.
Well, what Kim said a while ago, they had last week before last, people on the phone calling all these people that they know is taking advantage, and said, look, you're gonna have to pay this debt sometime.
Yeah. And
if June 1st comes and this thing's in place, you're gonna get cut off if you don't pay it. And there's some people that pay bills.
We did. We had Scott sits right outside the night drop, and this is before we opened, because we just opened back up Tuesday to the public. And he definitely saw some increase in traffic hitting that night drop box.
Went from 454 down to 197
Well, that was in
in
March.
that week.
That was in March.
Yeah.
But
The problem is, up until the time they made them phone calls, they were believing what they were hearing on TV.
What kind of comments did you get from the comments?
a lot of people were fine. They were like, "Oh, we thought this was going to get forgiven," and some said, "You know, I can't make the full payment." And we were very clear in saying, "You do not have to make the full payment right now. You pay what you can, but we're just letting you know that this is not going to be forgiven. So we don't want you to get too far behind." We had a few that weren't happy. We had a few that did some yelling, but that was to be expected. You know, had a few say they were going to call Channel 5. So that's
Was everybody
To be
agree
expected.
with what William said? Does that give you some?
that gives me
guidelines?
on prepaid.
Huh?
Yes, on prepaid.
That's a
it does.
direction that could all change tomorrow.
It could, yeah. So
And the other is gonna be 6 months off the bat, or you're gonna use 25% of that?
it'll be 6 months off the bat because that'll be easier to do. But let me ask this question: if they miss a payment arrangement, we'll shut them off to get their attention. But are we going to make them pay just the 1/6 of the bill plus their new bill? Or are we going to make them pay the full dollar amount owed plus their new bill? Are we going to make them come to get balanced to zero?
I would say if they miss one payment, let them pay the 6 and what they owe and the late fee.
Because they won't have it.
Okay.
You won't be able to, I think you,
They're either gonna make an effort or not. I mean, realistically.
Okay.
And I think,
we need to just start doing it and see how it works out and see if we need to adjust it.
There's so much is up in the air too, it's, you know, what the governor's gonna do as well.
I think there's gonna be some money somewhere for that, but
And it
that's
probably
what the
will be.
education. When the government,
Would you code to disconnect?
Okay, so can you make a motion of what y'all said, so then I actually have it on record in the minutes, so everybody is on the same page?
Make a motion.
I made a motion that we divide 6 months payments for our traditional electrical companies and have them paid up by December 31st. I make a motion on our prepaid customers that we charge them a 25% fee of every payment to pay toward their debt with a cutoff date of December 31st if their debt's not paid off.
Okay.
That's what you want.
Yeah, and if they get, if the traditional
And if
gets
they-
disconnected,
If they get disconnected, then they have to, if the traditional gets disconnected, they have to pay 1/6 of their payment plus their outstanding balance plus their outstanding late fee.
oh, and are we gonna continue doing late fees? On the normal, on their current bills?
Absolutely, yeah.
hey, you first.
Okay,
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay.
thank y'all very much.
The harder one is coming.
Yeah.
That's Cassandra. She's got
Discussion of
multiple
load
screens.
management, Fred Nelson.
So this kind of goes in conjunction with what you mentioned earlier about our load management policy. We're having a lot of switches burn out. And this has been ongoing since 2015 at least. And it has cost us money in terms of having an electrician go out and replace or remove the load management switches that were not working. We had to purchase at least one, not purchase, but replace an air conditioner unit, at least one with a two. There's a serious issue about these switches burning up, catching fire, and it's a safety issue. It's been going on now. We've been talking with, and this was before even I started last year, close to this time, talking with NextGrid, along with support from Electric Cities, about the problem with the load management switches burning up, not communicating. Currently, we have 80 that are not communicating. We have 199 switches, that enclosures that seem to be compromised. That is a hole that has been drilled and not sealed to code in the back of the switch. And this is according to the engineers at NextGrid. When we asked Bird to go out and change or remove a load management switch, each call is at least $90. Currently, we have 1,426 load management switches that are communicating. However, our issue is really poor customer service, the load management switches being compromised, and we don't know how many out there right now are in a condition that they are just about ready to burn. And it's getting to be something that our staff are spending a lot of time on. We've been on at least 5 calls that I can recall talking about this with NextGrid. We've just received today, we asked our front office staff, that's Crystal, to speak with other towns that have load management switches as well. And what their experience is with NextGrid, with the switches, with customer service, with their whole system. And they're experiencing the same things we are, and worse. And before it gets any worse, with as many load management switches that have burned to date, we are talking with Electric Cities and NextGrid about removing them and us not paying a dime for the removal. We feel that NextGrid should pay the cost because it's their equipment that is faulty, and I'll leave that at that point. And we want to get the board's thoughts on removing those switches because in order for us to, not in order, let me back up and start again. Our substation will do the same thing that these load management switches will do and save money in the long run. Right now, we're spending money with electrician fees especially, and it's just getting worse. One of their invoices, if I can go to one that was fairly new, within the last year, it was $873. And this was to Bird's Electric. It's been as high as $909, some of their invoices, and almost 1,000 for yet another. And so these problems have been recurring, and there seems to be no end to it. We've had conversations with Roy at Electric Cities, and they support us in any decision that we make in terms of whether we go forward with removing and or whether we decide to keep them in. Our recommendation is that we remove them. It doesn't have to be right now, but in the foreseeable future, we need to really make a decision as to what should happen.
We had problems in the past. You mentioned air conditioning units and all that kind of stuff. Did the town foot the bill for that, or did the?
Yes, we did.
Can we get next grade playful?
I'm pretty sure that that's on the table.
So you're saying that we want them to pay for it. What are our chances that they're actually going to pay for it?
We may well have to seek the services of our attorney for that to happen.
How much the town spend on the purchase of these load management switches and installation and all that good stuff?
How many did you say we had, Fred?
1426.
Well, if they're faulty stuff though, and I don't want us to have liability on that fence. It sounds like to me, if they're.
200,000? Oh my God.
How much did you say?
$200,000 just for the switches.
So now let me ask you, you were not here during this time. Who authorized those things? I mean, did you not have any, I'm serious now, really, who authorized it?
I was here.
No, you
was.
don't.
I was here. If I can speak a bit too.
Well, I mean, you were not the manager.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but who would authorize, because I got that mess in my house, and if it catch on fire, then is the town gonna pay me for my house?
That's the very.
Because I've had some problems with it before.
Is Next Street kicking on saying it's their equipment or faulty installation? The
Faulty
installer?
installation, customers finagling with the load management switches, bypassing, et cetera. And ultimately, they're throwing us up under the bus.
We don't have any contractual duties to them that we would be breaching any type of contract, or is that, I mean, obviously I would think that they have based on their equipment, but I'm just saying if we got a standing contract with them that's supposed to end at a certain date.
They're supposed to have all of it. I don't think we're in violation of the contract.
Now, let me know, load management is not new to us. We had load management even before we had next grid switches, we had older switches. But these are a newer model. The old ones probably, and this was even before my time when these were going on. But I just know from my previous town, those old switches just weren't communicating, weren't getting anything from it, no benefit from it, just giving a credit. So the new ones were supposed to be the newer, better improved deal.
So how do you know you got a newer, better improved one?
Everybody has a new one. Everybody has the next grid switch now.
We thought everybody.
We thought everybody did.
30 months.
Well, I could just send somebody
Signed
to
up
let
to
you know
save
to check
that
to make sure I got a
$15.
new
Whatever it
one.
was.
Oh, you
Was
do.
they different?
$780 a year.
Absolutely.
So you gotta do it.
No, it's a complete different switch, but the original switches that were here for load management was a one-way switch. It was a radio, it was run through WQDR in Raleigh, and you didn't know whether it was working or not. With the new ones, they're two-way, and you can talk to them. And we had the Electricities monitors all those switches. And if the demand is getting close, then they either start turning off the big places and turning on the generators, or they start cutting people's water off or their air conditioner to get the demand down. But the thing with these is that there's been so many of them that's burned. We get calls during the weekend that somebody gets up to take a shower, go to church, and the hot water heater don't work because the load management switch got. Somebody's got to come and bypass it. And this has been over and over and over again since 2018. And it's like she said, we're going to burn a house down. And there was a few things that when they were installed originally, they had an outfit from Kannapolis come down and install them. And the one air conditioner we had to replace because they drilled through the part of the air conditioner to run the wire. It is just a mess from the word go. Now, are we going to have to eat all this? We don't know, but we depending on what the board wants to do.
Are we
We're
gonna
gonna have a meeting.
The installers?
We'll have a meeting with NextGrid along with Electricities
To put some
and try to recover the cost.
what kind of costs are we looking at? I mean, I understand it's a liability. What kind of costs are we looking at to remove these switches?
90,000, 14,000.
Uh, we might get a discount on it, but I believe if we say 90 times to 1426, I think we would say.
We're talking about $75 a unit to have them take them out. And
And we got how many units?
826.
Then you got to tell the
1,400.
customer their base rate's going up $15.
I'm just saying, are we eating this cost up front, or are we looking at NextGrid and saying y'all need to come and get your mess? Are we going to facilitate the removal with Birds Electric or whoever our contractor is, or are they going to come and remove it themselves?
Have to have an electrician remove them.
Well, I tell you this much, dealing with NextGrid, don't they do the water meters too?
Water and electric.
You have to take them to court to get any money for that.
1,400 times
Cause they can't even
75.
get all the meters reading right?
We got them down to
Yeah.
almost all of them.
How long they been in now?
And then, I came in 14,
2016.
it was right after that.
So, you have to take it to court if you want them to pay for it.
So basically, we're going to have $310,000 in a product that we don't.
Seems like we've dealt with a shoddy group then.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Yes,
you
we have.
got stuff that doesn't work, they obviously aren't warranting it or fixing it, and then we're fixing the heating and air conditioning units to get.
What kind of time frame are we being told? How long is it going to take us to remove all of them?
We haven't gotten to that part of the conversation yet. We're expecting to have a meeting with Electric Cities, with NextGrid, and we will kind of hash all of that out at that point. Hopefully that'll be within the next couple of weeks that we'll sit down with them.
Have you talked to anybody else, any other towns, and they have a similar problem?
They are, and if I can step away. Okay, see here.
how much we pay for it?
They were $159 a piece.
But they didn't pay this one here.
What's the credit that we gave?
How much we were paying in installation?
Well,
A total unit, how much does that roughly cost?
Let me find the contract.
We gonna be up about 400,000 then?
159 times 1476 is 234.6.
That's just for you, that's not
1426,
including.
1426.
Okay.
We're close enough.
So we got information that there are full deployments at cities such as ourselves, Aden, Concord, Electric City, Elizabeth City, Kinston, Laurinburg, and some of them were polled and asked what kind of issues they've been having. Southport, for instance, has 3,000 customers. 23% are on load management. 3 or 4 have burned there. In Red Spring, some switches failed due to the relay locking on. 200 electric meters failed. In Concord, they're doing better with water, but do not agree on NextGrid reporting that they are doing fine to Roy at Electric Cities. Aden just started, and they appreciated the ideas that we were able to give them in terms of help. They have 4,500 customers there, and they're growing. Kinston is reporting communication issues on water meters, and they just installed some new infrastructure, and they state that the engineer that they're working with through NextGrid is terrible. And they promise equipment but never send or send half of what the town needs, and that's exactly what we're experiencing as well. So there are some former employees of NextGrid that don't give them real good ratings in terms of their customer service, the equipment, its reliability. These are engineers that are speaking. And one who indicates that he left on his own, but in looking back, he indicates that while one of the pros might be free candy machines and free breakfast every Wednesday, some of the problems they were having were that there's not a good organization involved there in terms of how they treat their staff, etc.
So we went with NextGrid because Electric Cities, they had approved them, and Matt went with what they had approved. Or we went with what they had approved.
I remember
$6 million.
I remember the meeting where we sat down in Pinehurst and got a rundown of what the service was and how much the town was going to save and how much the customer was going to save and the reliability of the equipment. And it really has not panned out that well in terms of the reliability, the safety factor in terms of those switches actually burning. So they want to bring that to the board, get your thoughts and direction as to what you thought we should do. And we'll have more we can share with you, certainly by our next board meeting after we meet with Electric Cities and NextGrid.
I'm not, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I would assume they're gonna find a tooth and nail, because if we do, they'll set a precedent in everything.
Exactly. We don't expect that they're going to just lay down and do what we're asking them to do, but we don't expect to be backing down on them.
So do we need a motion? Because I'm gonna make one.
Hold on, I have the answer to the question. We paid Bellwether 85 for retrofit and 125 for new first switch. So if it was a new switch, they never had it before, it was 125. If they had an old switch and they just switched it out, it was 85.
Was that the people I had such a hard time?
Yes.
Is there any way we could go back after them for some discount?
Good. I mean, a lot of the, I think some of the issues are because of them.
Before you,
Because
before you make a motion about doing anything that, because I think it was about $128,000, right, to remove all donations. Don't do that assuming that you'll definitely be able to hold NextGrid or whatever.
no, but I know next year they're gonna say it's faulty installation, so you're gonna have to bring them into it.
Well, I would say you're probably not looking into it any further, just this conversation at this time sent them some nasty letters that requested Matt, when he was here, which he backed me off of. They're like, just too on the nose about it, I guess, or they were going to get it fixed. This was more about the meters, but, you know, you probably have to sue everybody because they're in a point finger at each other and you just got, you know what you got is faulty equipment.
So my next question is, I'm gonna be kind of smart here on this.
Okay.
We do this from the switches, or we gonna have shirts that says, just guess what, we just increased your electric rate $780 a year.
You know,
Cause y'all know how big, bad of a proponent I was of all that, and here we are today.
I actually threw my shirt in the trash this weekend.
So,
We
I'm
paid
gonna quit.
Bill Weather while they were here, $83,785.
Huh?
We paid Bill Weather $83,785.
Paid who'd you say?
Bill Weather.
I remember, I was in a meeting, I was told I was out of line trying to rescind all that mess, so, yeah.
Well, I don't care, but I got one in my house. I can tell you right now, if my house burned down and I'm in there, y'all are gonna never stop paying Regional Hall. I can promise you that. So we might want to think about it.
Well, if it's a liability, I don't think it's a question of if we should get it off. We should definitely get it off.
Yeah.
Get it off quickly, and then we can, whatever avenues to get it off. I will say on another point of that, in light of our last agenda item conversation, in an effort not to cause more hysteria, I don't know that I would go running around taking them off and giving everybody their $15 credit, or adding a $15 charge to everybody's electrical all of a sudden. I might would push that out and say, let's get them off, and then let's reset our electrical rates maybe January 1. That way that gives them to the end of December as well, that they're not gonna have an extra $75 worth of electrical fees.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, I think Bird would give us a better price than they've been at to take them all out. But it's gonna cost, if they're outside, probably $65, and if they're inside, it'll be probably $75. And we're actually paying more than that now for them to go disconnect it or do whatever they gotta do to.
And I'm still gonna keep on liability. I said, let's get them off. Just hold some money, I'll spend some money maybe till January, and we'll see where we are after all this crazy stuff gets off.
Now I got a question, because I've seen the installation. They drill some pretty big holes, and that box is covered, so we won't have to fix cheap rock and all that good stuff now.
Well, there weren't supposed to be inside, but you know that they did, because you were one of the ones I had to fight. The statement of work called for them to go outside, so that was one of the reasons why Bellwether was stopped, we stopped using them, because they just won't follow in their statement of work. But yeah, I mean, there's that to factor into it.
So in a sense, the town has put people in danger. And you've known about this and have not said anything in the past about it? I mean, I'm just asking that, because I'm, you know.
The first one happened, and it was like, it was contained in the box. And the boxes are fireproof, so theoretically it should contain in the box, is what they keep telling us. The first one happened, and there was a lot of discussion on the next grid. I for one sent a lot of emails like, why is this happening? What is wrong with the switch? And then you didn't see anymore. And now all of a sudden it's happening more often. And they keep telling us it's the difference between the box. One's got a green strip in it, one's got a white strip in it. I don't think they really know which ones are gonna burn and which ones aren't. None have been contained. They've all contained within the box, but you know, you've got some that have holes drilled in them, so then that loses kind of the fireproof portion of it. I told Fred and Jerry a year ago, I told them don't put any more on ACs. I don't know that I even conveyed that to Matt. I just said don't do it. Because my issue was the AC units, like, I kept having issues with those. We said to Aaron, don't force the issue on those residential buildings. But trust me, it got conveyed to administration, like above me, but
Well, next time it gets conveyed to administration, convey it to Maxine Hall so I know what's going on in my household.
Is it possible to cut it off without taking it off?
You can leave it folded back, you can undo the wire.
I don't know, it's the wiring that's getting it.
So
Gary,
if you
you know
see the
about
wire,
it. Would it matter, I mean, would that matter?
Now, you,
No, I want the whole thing off my house.
if you disconnect it, you want to get it off. Because you got wires running to your hot water heater, and you got wires running to the air conditioner. So you wouldn't want to disconnect it from the box and leave those wires lying in there. We have spent a tremendous amount of time with electric cities and with NextGrid on this problem. And we've got enough information now that in the substation, we can do the load management we need to do at the substation. Now, there's only a small chance that if you do that by voltage, and that's the way most people do, load management is the reduction of voltage to cut the peaks. If we do that, there might be a time that when it's real hot in the summertime and there's a shortage of enough electricity, you start turning it down, and you get too low, you start doing damage to equipment. So, but the electrician, our electric people know what to do in the substation. I mean, we've talked enough about that. It's not going to be another mess. But what I would suggest is that we work out with somebody that Bird knows more about it than anybody else, to get them to take all of them out, but tell them when they start. Now, we're not going to throw these things away. You take them out and take them out so they're usable when we get them out. And Electric Cities has told us that they would help us sell the ones that would work, that are working. I'm not really in favor of that.
Past liability
I don't
on
want
somebody else.
Put this on somebody else.
Would we have to go out to bid for a bid on removal of the 1,426 units?
About what, $130,000?
What did you say, 75?
Yeah,
No, well, not the formal bidding range.
126,000.
You're not in the formal bidding range, you're just doing informal bidding. You need to go out, the answer is yes,
We
but
have to get quotes.
not as high requirements as you would.
Can we go out to bid and come back on June the 9th,
I don't think that'd be enough time.
July the whatever?
So we have to send it extra time.
You want to put together exactly what it is you want. And give enough time, because there are a lot of electricians.
What was the question, Woody?
Well, we would need to go to bid out on that to be able to remove all those units.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, I think
don't know any.
I think we need to go ahead. We need a motion to go to bid. I think we need to go ahead and go out to bids, informal or whatever, and bring us back a number so that we can move forward.
I don't think we'll have it by June ninth, though.
With July, whatever is in July, I don't know that date. I have to look that up.
I'm just asking, but would that hurt us legally if we took them out and they said, well, we didn't give us a chance to fix the problem?
We have to review the contracts with them and what their warranty period is and what our responsibility is with that contract. That I've reviewed in the past since the time, we've tried a lot.
Well, Fred said they were planning on meeting in the next couple of weeks, so could we not meet with them and simultaneously get bids and come back in July and then look at both?
You can go that route now for sure.
Go ahead and get bids and then see how the meet goes, and then in July hopefully informed enough to make a decision.
Yeah, we've asked Roy Jones to set up a meeting in Raleigh. Now, they might say, well, we ain't coming to Raleigh, we'll go to Fredericksburg and meet with them and tell them what we're doing and tell them we're expecting them to make us whole on it. But, that ain't gonna happen. But, I read all the legal stuff that Ike had written in 18 and 19. And the first letter he got about the problems we were having with the meters, with the water meters, he wasn't going to do anything. And so we got to start that way. You sit down with them and see what the lay of the land is, because we kind of hold electric cities with some responsibility because they recommended, they had all their engineers to do all the work and recommended this. And load management is something that we talked about a lot when AMI was being put in. And then just see what the lay of the land is. And we talked about whether we ought to take Ike with us or not, but we kind of felt like we would be better off to go there with not an intent that we were going to sue them the next week, and just see what they had to say, and then we go from there. So
I don't know that, a question was asked as to whether or not we needed a motion tonight. I don't think that one is needed tonight. I think one will be in order once we see the lay of the land, as the mayor has indicated, and we'll have more information to share with you then about what we might be able to expect.
we really was wanting to bring the board up to date on what was going on, and if they said, "Oh no, we're not going to take them out," then we're in a different story. But I think if the board is amenable to three of us to go sit down with them and see what their feelings are, what their attitude is, and then we'll come back and figure out, what the course of action is.
Well,
If everybody's in agreement with that.
I'm in agreement with, as long as you heard me find out. I'll be in agreement with that.
But Kim, why don't you get them to take hers out
We've already done.
if she's having trouble with it?
Well, I didn't say I was having trouble with it. I don't know if I'm having trouble with
Oh,
it now.
okay.
See what I'm saying? But I did about 2 years ago.
Mark that off.
No, we're
But
gonna,
now I don't want my house to burn up before you take it out of there now. I don't want that to happen. But I know I did have some problems with my heat, and it come from that thing. And that Zap came over there that night at 9 o'clock in the wintertime. I was about to freeze.
we will have someone over there within the next couple of days.
Are you okay, Fred?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You're not
Town
done.
manager.
You're not done.
That was it.
You just made it.
That was it, I believe. Of course, our next regular meeting is June 9th at 7 o'clock.
Do we have a status on July the 4th celebration at this time?
Just doing fireworks for July 4th. I think that'll work best.
Ike, do you have anything?
The only thing I want to mention is that, my wife's 40th birthday is scheduled for the same time you have a meeting. Tuesday night. So I do not plan on being here.
Just bring her.
I was just going to suggest that.
I mean, invite her, also a lawyer.
We'll have cake.
Another in the room.
Instead of nails.
Get a motion to
As far as I'm
skip her birthday.
I think Aaron wanted somebody in the legal profession here. We'll have to use Jim, I reckon.
Well, I certainly am able to participate remotely, and I think I've done that once before, having this meeting in last year, but the board is okay with that.
We can get a motion from the board to have her birthday feast. She remains 39.
You'd be okay with that part.
Anybody on the board have anything?
I do. You, what's your name?
Amy, for that.
When you get a chance, I want you to pull the ordinance for the trash cans.
Okay,
I would like to see that.
okay, I'll get it for you.
Thank
You're welcome.
Can, I'm sorry, are you
you.
done? While we're on that note, I get phone calls all the time because people, when I know there's a sticker, and I don't know if the stickers on top of the cans are any good, but most of our cans don't have lids now. Can we put something on Facebook, just a blast that says, hey, this is what the schedule is on this side of town? Because my wife asks me all the time, and I have no earthly idea how it works, and that's pitiful in her opinion. So y'all would help me out with that.
Push your foot down, I told you.
No.
Save your little pond out there.
You like my pond out
Yeah,
there? I do
right.
like my pond. I've got koi orders for that. So,
Anything on this side?
I'm good. We can all go swimming when we leave.
I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I make a motion that we go into closed session
All
after
in
a
favor, say aye.
2-minute recess for general statute.
We'll
143
take a 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess, that'll work. We'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Uh,